Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Holderhek here. I never really planned on making this video, to be honest, but I'm out in the world and I'm doing some farming here in Phase 1, and world PvP is an inevitable thing if you're on a PvP server, and the harsh realization as an enhancement shaman is when you're alone in the world and people can get the jump on you, you are one of the weakest PvP classes. Like, we have no crowd control, we have no crowd control break, we have no mobility, so it just makes world PvP alone as an enhancement shaman a living nightmare. So, and that is not to say that we are awful at PvP. The enhancement shaman and shaman in general is the quintessential sixth man in your basketball team. We make everyone around us better, and if there's other people to focus on, it gives us that time to get in and Wind Fury kids to death. Now, when we are solo, we don't have that, okay? So, what I want to do with this video is I'm going to give you a basic survival guide in fighting other classes one-on-one in the open world. And I am not some sort of PvP savant slash god where I'm constantly rolling with 100 different kinds of consumables and world buffs and full engineering, but as an enhancement shaman, if you actually want to win these 1v1 fights, you should probably, at the very least, level engineering and have free action potions, okay? Because that's going to be the counter to a lot of the things that are going to make you a free kill. Now, with all of that being said, we're going to get into the breakdown class by class of what people are typically going to do to you and your potential counters for it, okay? Okay. Now, I don't have these classes arranged in any sort of order, like easiest to kill and hardest to kill, because I honestly have no idea how to arrange them in any sort of order, so we're just gonna go off the top of my head, and we're gonna start with Paladin, because they are our counterparts, sort of, on the Alliance. So the way Paladins work is they have blessings and seals and judgments, right? So for them to do any damage, they first have to buff themselves. This is nice. So the easiest way to keep a Paladin from doing any sort of damage to you at all is to continually purge them. Using rank 1 purge might be better than rank 2, so you don't go but the amount of mana they need to cast the spell and the amount of mana you need to cast purge is probably equivalent, so it's really not that big of a deal. So step 1 with a Paladin is constantly purge them. Step 2 is keep Grounding Totem down as much as possible. Grounding Totem will eat their Hammer of Justice, so they can't stun you. Beyond that, you're going to have to deal with them using Lay on Hands, which is a full heal, and you're going to have to deal with them using their bubble. And in that bubble, even Retribution Paladins can fully heal themselves with 2 casts of Holy Light. So in general, the Paladin is an extreme annoyance, but not unkillable. The only thing you have to watch out for is that most good Paladins will store critical strikes. You will see them doing this. You will see them sitting down and allowing themselves to be crit. They are storing reckoning charges, which is basically like every time they get crit, they can store up a charge and unleash a Wind Fury, technically, on you. Okay, so they have the potential to one-shot you, so you have to be careful with that. But if they have not been storing critical strikes, then you can pretty much completely negate everything they can do. Next, we're going to move on to Hunters. Now, this is a class that if they get the jump on you, you are okay? There's just nothing you can do. The amount of damage a hunter can do to you before you even realize they are there is astronomical. And if for some reason they're beast mastery, just lay down. It's over. Like, you see that red rocket coming at you, you're getting hit for like 1,500 damage from 30 yards away. It's over, bro. You got no mobility, you got no way to get to them, you can't kill their pet, so just die. But if for some reason they don't start at max range, there's a couple of things you can do to hunters. Our good friend, the grounding totem, absorbs their traps, so that's super great. If you have a grounding totem down and they try to trap you, it's just going to say immune, and they're going to stand there and look very confused, which is a really good time to put a Wind Fury directly into their gourd. Beyond that, they're going to do Viper Sting, which is going to constantly drain your mana. Throw down Poison Cleansing Totem. If they're smart, they'll shoot the totem. If they're not, which most hunters are not, they will not shoot the totem, so you'll be good. You also have your own Poison Cleanse, which you can constantly do to them. It's also not a bad idea at all to make sure your one-handed weapon skill is leveled up and you have a really good shield, because that will negate a lot of their ranged damage and damage in general. Like, if you're wearing full mail with a shield, you should be somewhere around 45% damage reduction, and that's pretty good. And then if you really want to them, you can throw down Wind Wall, because we all know that's useful, right? Right. Moving on, we will talk about warriors now. More than any other class, with warriors, you're going to absolutely want to have a shield equipped. Trying to fight a warrior with a two-hander is probably like the worst decision you could ever possibly make. So you make sure you have that shield equipped. You make sure you have Flame Tongue or Frostbrand on that weapon. If they hit you, like they charge you, they're going to be hamstringing you. There's probably no way you're going to be able to kite them. So I would actually recommend, instead of keeping Earthbind down, keep down Tremor in case they try to fear you so they can recover. And just keep your Flame Shock on them. Keep your Lightning Shield on them. Drop Fire Nova, because they're going to be so busy trying to hit you, they're not going to transition to hit the Fire Nova, and if they do, that gives you precious time to hit them as well. The key thing to fighting warriors is staying above 20% health so they cannot execute you, and hitting them with as much magical damage as possible. Even a Fury Warrior, unless they're in full leather, is going to be mitigating a lot of your physical attacks, and you're using a one-hander, or at least you should be, so your physical attacks are not your main focus here, okay? So we need to do fire damage, lightning shield damage, searing totem damage, any type of magical damage you possibly can. And if for whatever reason you actually can kite them with Frost Shock and Earthbind, then they're basically a free kill. But any warrior, like, with 2 brain cells to rub together is not gonna let that happen. They're gonna charge you and hamstring you immediately, so you're not kiting them, okay? And unless you're using free action potions, which we'll talk about at the end of the video. There's a lot of situations where free action potions and some engineering can save your life. But warriors, basically, do magic damage to them and hope for the best. Next, we're going to talk about the Mage. The Mage is actually one of the classes that we are actually a hard counter to. Or at least, in many situations, we are a hard counter. That is obviously not the case if they get the jump on you, and not the case if they are Frost Nova Shatter spec and you don't have free action potions. But our tool set, skill set, whatever the hell you want to call it, is very, very useful in just demolishing mages, okay? You can purge all of their shields. If you're spec'd into Elemental, you can counter-spell most of their spells. You can Grounding Totem their spells. The only thing they can do to you that could really, really screw up your day, like I said earlier, is they could Frost Nova you and then keep you Frost Nova'd with Blink and all that other stuff. So with mages, as long as that doesn't happen, and as long as they don't get the jump on you, which unfortunately they probably will a lot of the time, because when you're farming stuff, you're not necessarily looking for a mage, but you should be. Otherwise, you'll actually not have too difficult of a time with a mage, barring very specific situations where they can, one-shot you, etc. Now, I know I said I'd mention it in the end of the video, and I'm going to stop repeating myself because there's a reason why I wanted to do it at the end of the video and not in every single use case, but a free action potion just by itself would basically allow you to completely on every single mage ever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So mages, not your biggest worry at all. Now we're going to talk about warlocks. Warlocks are a very interesting class. There's a couple different specs for warlocks, and you're going to run into almost all of them, really. Like, if they are a demonology soul link warlock, I got nothing for you. You're not killing them. You're just not. You're just, they can effectively have like 20,000 health plus. They just won't die. Like, there's a reason why Soul Link Warlocks are not allowed in dueling tournaments. Like, they're just, you just can't kill them. Like, you just can't. Like, if you know how to kill a Soul Link Warlock as an enhancement shaman, then let me know, okay? Because I personally don't think it's gonna happen. They can outlast all your damage, they can outlast your mana, and then they'll just laugh at you and sack their Voidwalker and have a shield and then just heal full. It's like ridiculous. Like, you're not fighting a Soul Link Warlock. Now let's just talk about a normal Warlock, right? You're gonna have a ton of dots on you. If you have down Grounding Totem, you can absorb some of that damage. Their Shadow Bolts can and will hit very hard. You're gonna have to try to counterspell them as much as possible. Purge off as many buffs as possible. And if they aren't Demonology, and they sick a Fell Hunter on you, or any other of their minions, kill their pet. That's actually a very, very valid way to start to kill a Warlock. If they are not Demonology, the pet will die very fast. But you're gonna have to deal with fear, you're gonna have to deal with curses, you're gonna have to deal with dots, you're gonna have to deal with very powerful Shadow Bolts. Warlocks are not fun to fight in any way whatsoever. So, you're going to have a lot to deal with. You have to keep Tremor down all the time, and grounding down as much as possible, and counterspell them as much as possible. Kill the pet, and then focus on the Warlock. That's going to be your best way to go. But Warlocks are, without a doubt, not easy for an Enhancement Shaman to kill by any means whatsoever. Okay, now let's talk about the Priest. There is a very, very small chance you're going to run into a priest in the open world that's trying to gank you, that's like holy or discipline. In those cases, just purge their buffs and Wind Fury them. Obviously, keep Tremor down, and if you can hit them hard enough, you may be able to kill them before they can fully heal themselves 55 times in a row. That's really just going to be a roll of the dice. If you're fighting a Shadow Priest on the Alliance, you actually have a much, much, much easier time than you would if you were fighting a Shadow Priest on the Horde. I touched on this in one of my other videos. Undead Shadow Priests get Devouring Plague, which is a super, super broken ability that does damage to you and heals them constantly. It's a disease, and I'm not actually sure if you can cleanse it with Cure Disease, but if you could, that'd be hilarious. But we don't have to deal with that, right? Because we're not going to get ganked by undead Shadow Priests. So, with the Shadow Priests on the Alliance, what you just have to focus on is counterspelling them, of course, with your rank 1 Earth Shock, locking them out of Shadow spells, and purging any buffs they may have. Keep Tremor down, keep Grounding down, try to, you know, you're not trying to kite, but you want to try to keep them closer to you, so you're going to have to cycle between Earthbind and Tremor. And then just keep the pressure on them and kill them. They're going to do a lot of damage very quickly and then run out of mana. So it's basically a burst class versus a burst class, and we just have to try to get to them before they get to us and go from there. Shadow Priests are not super hard to kill when they are on the Alliance, thankfully. Now let's talk about the Rogue. The Rogue, again, depending on their spec, is either doable or completely impossible, right? So if they're full subtlety and they have prep and all their abilities twice, you know, it's like good luck, bro. Like, any Rogue could kill any other class, realistically speaking, with level 1 daggers and no armor. Like, if they go full subtlety, they go that full route, like, yeah, if they have all their cooldowns, you're just dead. Like, you're just dead. Like, just deal with it. That's all you got. At least as an enhancement shaman, right? Maybe other people are just so much better at this game, and I just suck and need to learn to play. But I've seen good rogues, and I've played with good rogues, and we've all watched World of Roguecraft. Like, a rogue with double cooldowns. You're dead. But, okay, so let's say you run into like a combat swords rogue, they're PvE spec'd, you can kill them, okay? It's not that hard. You just have to have your shield on, have your frost brand weapon on, keep your lightning shield up. You're gonna fight a rogue much in the same way that you fight a warrior. You're also going to have your poison cleansing totem down, which is going to cure a lot of their crap that they try to put on you, and they're not going to have any idea why it's not working, and it's going to be very funny. That's pretty much it. We got to keep Fire Nova, do magic damage to them. They are very dodgy boys, so two-handers versus a rogue is pointless. So get a one-hander, get a Frostbrand, get shield, equip mail, make sure your armor's high, and do magic damage to them. You're going to be able to at least get them to the point to where they run away, because also a good rogue will not let themselves die. So once they get low, they'll just vanish and run away. If you're a Tauren, you can War Stomp and potentially stun them. You can try to Earthbind them out of stealth, but most good rogues probably won't let themselves die to you. So it's going to be something where you just have to get lucky with a crit when they're at low health, and go from there. But rogues are entirely doable, you know, if they're dumb. Because most rogues will just engage you when you're at 10% health and just hit you with an ambush and kill you. If they're being cocky and they attack you at full health and you have a shield on, then you have a really, really good chance against most rogues. Okay, last and absolutely least, sorry Druids, is the Druid. Unless... I don't even know how to begin this one, right? A Druid, much like a rogue, has so many tools available to them in the open world that if you manage to kill a Druid, it's really not a show of your own skill, it's a show of how stupid they are. Feral Druids, Resto Druids, the ability to just completely shift out of any crowd control, the ability to cast, you know, heals on themselves constantly and renews and regrowths. It's just, you're not going to be able to kill one. If you do, it's possible. If you do, again, it's not because you were super skillful, because anybody can purge off hots and anybody can counterspell, you know, big heals, but they can just run away from you. So it's really not on you, it's on them. Like, you're just hoping that they're idiots. Now, speaking of being idiots, the one type of Druid you probably can kill is a Boomkin. Now, I don't have anything against Boomkin. I'm sure it's very, very fun to Moonfire and Starfire to your heart's content while looking like a giant battle chicken, but traditionally, I guess, in my experience, when you're fighting a Moonkin, they're going to be trying to do more damage to you than you can do to them before they die. And they're not going to shift, and they're not going to heal. And in my experience, again, that's not a fight they can win. So if you see a Moonkin, you're going to have a really easy time. If you see any other kind of Druid, good luck. Because it's really just going to be, are they a complete idiot? Because a good Druid never dies. Now, at the very end of the video, I just want to go over some basic tips and tricks that I feel like would be super useful to anybody trying to play this spec in the open world. Make sure you always have rank 1 shocks, like rank 1 flame shock, costs next to no mana, and will keep that rogue out of stealth. Rank 1 Frost Shock, easy way to kite anybody. Rank 1 Earth Shock, easy way to interrupt. So at the very least, rank 1 shocks are very, very beneficial. I cannot stress enough how much engineering and alchemy can help shore up some of the extreme weak points of this spec. Engineering for the stun helmet, engineering for the charge from the stun helmet, engineering for the speed boots, There's just so many useful little things. You got stun grenades, like it just helps us have like the tricks that other classes just kind of get and just we don't, right? We just don't get those. So engineering is super vital for being able to survive in the open world. And then with alchemy, there's things like the free action potions will really help the fact that you have no distance closer and you can't break stuns or you know, slows or anything like that. Like free action potions, super useful. Any sort of elemental protection potions can further shore up your abilities against mages or warlocks. Like a shadow protection potion against like a shadow priest or a warlock is kind of hilarious. A frost protection potion against a mage is kind of hilarious. And then even further, like restorative potions can clear debuffs off of you. Again, it's just super useful things. What else? Yeah, so in Ghost Wolf, and this is something that's actually more useful in Battlegrounds than maybe in Open World, but in Ghost Wolf, you can't be sapped because you're no longer humanoid, so that's kind of cool. But you can be hibernated, so that's one more thing a druid can use against you. But it's just a neat little thing to know that if you're in Ghost Wolf, you cannot be sapped, so that's kind of cool. Then we got some useful PvP trinkets. You have your Bear of Peasant Collar. This thing's super fun. You just pop the cooldown on this thing and it summons 3 little dudes to run over and start beating on anybody. They don't hit very hard, but they interrupt casting and they could screw up people who are trying to click target you. So it's just a really nice way to like sick a bunch of pets on somebody to confuse and annoy them while you do other stuff. There's the Chained Essence of Aranicus, which does this like nature debuff, poison damage to all around you. Would be really good to put a dot on somebody so they can't go back into stealth. Then you have the Mark of Resolution, which is a quest reward trinket. You get it absorbs somewhere between like 300 and 600 physical damage. It's a nice little shield. 30-minute cooldown though, so you're going to use it like once ever. But it's nice to have. It's nice to have. I keep it in my bags for, you know, basically rogues. That's pretty much it, rogues. Last 2 items I can think of, both actually drop off of Overlord Wormthalak in Lower Blackrock Spire. There is the Heart of the Scale, which when activated deals 20 fire damage to anybody who hits you in melee. That's super useful again against rogues, because all those little plinking dagger attacks will just basically gib them. And then you have the Heart of Wormthalak, which is an on-equip effect to basically do like a Dragon Breath chili kind of thing. So you'll just be, you know, hitting stuff and then eventually just kind of like breathe fire on them. It's, I don't know, it's kind of a cool thing. The thing that you need to know about PvP is that PvP, more than anything else, is about stamina, and it's about, like, special abilities. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a super high crit chance and you have super high attack power and you can do a lot of damage. PvP is about pulling out the right moves at the right time, and even if they don't hit necessarily very hard, it's about using those right moves and outplaying the person you're fighting. And that is something you always have to kind of remember, is we're not trying to gear or build or use items that make us like 2% stronger. We have to use items that might make us 10% weaker, like strength and damage wise, but they allow us to do a cool thing once, and that cool thing once will let us win. Now, I hope this guide will help all my enhancement brethren out in the world deal with being jumped by random people at all times. I realize it's hell out there, and I just want to be able to, you know, give you some tools to be able to fight these people as best as we possibly can, right? Right. Cool. So, if I missed anything, which I probably did, tell me in the comments below. If I'm the worst player ever and I should just go back to retail, joke's on you. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. So yeah, leave a like, dislike, comment. That'd be super great. Check me out on stream, twitch.tv, the Holderhek. So yeah, the Holderhek, twitch.tv. And that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it and you like the content I produce, why don't you subscribe? That'd be super duper cool. Yeah? Yeah. Cool. Everybody have a fantastical rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.